Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the Spy Shack podcast, the show where four super fans of Survivor get together and talk the latest episode of the current season. This season is Millennials versus Gen X, and we're excited to talk episode 6, The Truth Works Well. With me, like always, is Mark. Mark, how are you doing today?
I am slightly better.
And Aaron, how are you doing
Better,
today?
not bitter.
I'm good.
And Kim, how are you doing today?
I am good.
Okay, so let's get right to it. There's one part that I want to talk about that is actually two different parts of the episode. It didn't really happen at the same time. Like I said, it was David and Zeeke both talking about joining different alliances, leaving their old tribe, and just working with anybody that they can. David does it at the very beginning after we see that. Well, we get back to the camp and Cece's been voted off, and Zeeke does it later on after the reward challenge, and we'll talk about. Well, we will hit on it if we choose to on that a little bit later. So, what do you guys think about this? Is this the beginning of the end of the actual generation tribes or whatever the original tribes?
I absolutely think so. I mean, if you think about it, the majority voted out Gen X on one tribal council, and then the majority voted out a millennial on the other tribal council. They aren't sticking to these dumb alliances that they were made to stick to in the beginning, and they're going to stick to who they will work well with. And I think that is what will be great when we have a merge.
What I think is that there's still going to be people that are going to be loyal to their original tribes, but there's going to be the outcasts that are going to group together and form this third new tribe, a new alliance that's going to go against the other two generations.
I'm already getting sick and tired of hearing the terms Millennials and Gen X. But, it helps if you got the numbers. I mean, if you get along with somebody else, then more power to you. I mean...
I have a question. Yeah. Where do you think Chris is going to fall into this? He was willing to work with Zeeke. Do you think at a merge, Chris is going to go back to his Gen X tribe, or do you think he'll stay with Zeeke and David?
I think Chris will actually bring Zeeke along with his alliance, and I don't know. I still see David as far as an outsider. We'll talk about the scenes for next week, but as of right now, I think David is still an outsider. Zeeke and Chris, if they get to a merge with Brett, we'll get together. With Sunday, we'll get together if they all make it past the merge.
They're probably just going to go with who they want to be with or who they get along with. We'll have to see. And I was trying to say before that it's not. I mean, typically when there are these big switches or expansions or whatnot, I think probably a little more. I think there might be more times in which they stick with the switched tribes. I mean, it depends on the situation. I know we don't want to get too much into previous seasons, but with Guatemala and Panama, the other, what was it, Nakum and unique sort of a thing. I mean, if they choose to go with it being 3 tribes up until the merge, which I don't know. Cambodia, they did the last minute thing, so I think it's just going to stick with who they like and they get along with. I think that's just the way it is this season because of the whole theme. Like we were talking about how Zeeke was the oldest of the bunch of the Millennials.
Yeah, definitely Zeeke is gonna like we were talking about. Zeeke is gonna stick with the Gen X. He's said before he looks like he wants to move on with them. So I think he's gonna go with them. And
I think Adam will too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam and Zeeke are both on the outside, so it's not surprising that they would want to work with the other team, especially since they are a lot fewer Gen X now. Well, actually, there's two of them fewer now. So working with them puts them in a majority. So why not? So let's talk about Jay and him finding the idol. Good on him, or did y'all would y'all mind someone else finding that idol?
I like Jay. I don't dislike him. I think that him being away from Taylor and Figgy definitely helped his social game too. I was happy he found it. I'm assuming Will is happy he found it because it gave him some airtime. Because
Finally,
you forget Will is there, and the fact that Michaela walked in on it, and she immediately said something, and she's keeping it quiet, which is good for her so far. But she would be the last person I'd want to know that I found an idol. I think it would have been better for him if he found it alone. Because everybody talks.
Were they both out there just looking for the idol together?
I think
Yes.
Will. Well, my theory is that Will. I'm thinking. I already talked about this a little bit in the chat rooms, but my theory is that at night when they were all sleeping, Will overheard the cameramen and all the crew who were also there with them on the beach. And he probably overheard that he was going to get under-edited. So he just thought, all right, I guess I'll follow Jay around and he'll probably be cool with it. So that was a joke there, but...
that's a big tin hat you have on there, buddy.
But you never know.
Huge.
But what I thought it was hilarious is that as soon as they're like, okay, we're gonna keep it between you and me. Hey, what do you guys? What are you guys doing? I was like,
Yeah, that was
that was the shortest kept secret of an idol ever.
Yes.
I
Love her.
What was it?
Let me tell you something. I love Michaela too, but her social game sucks. So
Yeah,
It does. It does.
We'll get a little bit later into that,
yeah.
especially with the immunity challenge.
yeah. So yeah, so
But,
no, Jay has the idol.
Can I mention? Okay, so Jay has the idol. I just want to mention one thing that really made me happy with Michaela, and that is for the few shots that they had of Icabula, her hair was all bunched up into that buff of hers.
I think she's been
And it
doing that
just-
since last episode.
I don't know. I just really noticed it this episode, and it just looks so silly. And it just makes me love her even more.
I think
I mean, she's just walking around with this big lump in her.
yeah, she looks like Marge Simpson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this episode is the way it was broken up. It was the post-tribal. Jay finds the idol, and that didn't take up too much time because as soon as they found the idol, we got that truncated theme of the season, and then we go to the reward challenge. Am I missing something? I was watching.
I thought that Jay's confessional was pretty
He
good.
said he heard the theme, and the editors thought, well, yeah,
Might as
we're
well use
gonna-
it. So yeah, like I said, and the reason I say is I missed anything because the whole Michaela bum running into them, finding the idol, I didn't get to see that part. Something happened when I was watching it that it skipped from them finding the idol to the end of the theme. So it wasn't until my second viewing that I saw Michaela come in, and yeah, I was like, oh, okay. I don't know what happened on my side over here. But we go to the reward challenge, and do you guys like the blindfold challenges that they have?
No.
Nope.
It's very clumsy, and
I think someone can get seriously hurt. I just don't see the need to blindfold. You can do a million challenges without blindfolding them.
there's been several people who've gotten hurt in the blindfold challenges,
It's
and
led to some funny moments.
I think it does lead to some funny moments. But we had Ken here who took major falls, twice I think, and it would suck to lose someone like Ken on a challenge like this. I wouldn't want to lose Ken because of that. I want to lose, if we're gonna lose Ken, I want him to go out in a flame of glory. You know.
I think the blindfolded challenges now one's coming back to me. Only by mention, the only two that I can think of that led to a challenge being stopped was with Russell Swan, Samoa. Even though that was a little different, he was standing there at a table and just knocked out. And then with Kelly, yeah, she was a person in Worlds Apart. Think about that great Kelly moment. No, not coming to mind. No. Yeah. So Kelly is one of the most memorable people in Worlds Apart. There was a big scare in that the double boot episode of who went? Lindsay and Max.
Yep.
And that was a whole fake out. So I can't think of any. I mean, it could lead to hilariously with Michelle. So.
Yeah.
Here's a question with the blindfold. Why would they put David in with that part? Like, I'm watching it and I'm literally like, he can't even follow direction. I mean, when Michaela pushed him away, I was hysterical. Because
that
was hilarious.
It was right, and he just kept on walking straight. I mean,
it's not like he didn't hear, because she said right, and he would point to his right, but he would walk forward. So I'm like, what are you doing, David? So this challenge added to his bad challenge play that he's had so far.
Here's the thing. I'm kind of puzzled as to why Ikabula sat out Hannah for the reward challenge and have her playing in the immunity. That's kind of what I was confused by.
I think she might have been feeling off.
I think
already.
she said she was feeling under the weather.
Yeah, I think she was already feeling off to begin with.
I think she said it right there in the beginning.
And yeah, and this is where we got the previews from last week, where Hannah was like, "You're not gonna let me die, are you?" She does have her anxiety attack, and I actually tweeted at her and like, as someone who's had an anxiety attack or had some anxiety attacks in the past, I understand like where you're coming from. I applaud her for trying to go out there and get out of her comfort zone, and especially knowing that it might trigger an anxiety attack. But Survivor is so heavy as far as you're not in your comfort zone that it's gonna trigger something, and it did for her at this point.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, if Hannah was on my tribe and we lost the immunity challenge, I would have voted her out. And I'm going to tell you why I would have voted her out. I can't deal. Listen, I have anxiety at times too, and I can sympathize for that. But you are not going to cause me $500,000 or $1 million because you're having an anxiety attack. Oh well, bye.
Well, Aaron
and I know it sounds mean, but you can't take that chance with her. If there's another challenge and she's having an anxiety attack, scared she's gonna die, well then you can go and enjoy a nice vacation for the rest of the time. Yeah. I know I sound mean, but I come first.
Oh, don't worry, because Brett, in a secret scene that's online, goes back to Ikabula after the reward challenge, I think. Yeah, it has to be after the reward challenge. And it's just Brett and maybe Jay or Sunday. I can't. It would make some sense if it were Sunday. Brett had the same thoughts that you have. Mm-hmm. If they lose, he wanted Hannah off because somebody like that, it's going to be dangerous down the line.
Right, and it's not to be mean, but you really have to think about your game, not about someone's feelings. As hard and as mean as that sounds, panic attacks are horrible. But at the same time, you can't. It's not someone you can drag to the end, because she could she can make you lose a whole bunch of challenges. So she would have gone, and I don't think she'll make merge.
I think it's that whole mentality or that whole line from A League of Their Own. There's no crying in baseball.
Right.
Which,
and I knew
which
I
a
knew right
bunch
away
of my
she wasn't her.
my family always have quoted that with Survivor and The Apprentice, that if anybody has these crying fits, it's just there's no crying in baseball. You're out.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Bye. I don't got time. I don't have time to babysit or comfort you or hug you. You know, you have to go. And I give her credit for coming out there. Good for her. But all right, you did your dream. You showed that you can do it. It's time to go. You know, enjoy the rest of your vacation.
But the thing that was really different from any of the other sort of where they had to bring up medical was that she wasn't part of the challenge. She was sitting there. I think she just
I'm not sure what happened.
I guess she was watching and she got anxious. I mean, she may have had, I've been talking about it a little teensy tiny bit in the little chat groups that we have here before we do the podcast, that for the about 2 years now, I've had a little bit of a somewhat chronic pain that which might be all psychologically caused, called TMS or diversion pain syndrome, like your psychosis or psychological reasons behind your physical pain. And I think that's probably what Hannah was having. I mean, we really won't know until maybe her exit interview. And don't worry, everybody gets an exit interview, even if they win. All right, so it's not a spoiler. It's not a spoiler. So we won't know until we get to hear her from her interview, maybe later on. But that was the crazy part, was that she wasn't even part of the challenge.
Yeah.
What I thought it was weird is she's like, I'm feeling a little sick or whatever, and then Will's like, "Oh, you are," and then that was it, and she just got up and went towards Jeff.
And I think Brett was sitting with her.
He was trying to comfort her.
I'm sorry, Brett, not Will. I'm sorry, I said Will, but it was Brett. Yeah, which I understand is sitting Brett out because you want your stronger people in the immunity challenge rather than your weaker people, which I don't always see happen. I have seen some of the strong people stay for the immunity. I'm sorry, for the reward, and then they have to sit out in the immunity, and I never get that part. But
it depends on how good the reward is, I think.
Yeah, I guess.
So
what's the bigger story? What's the bigger story? Vanua, am I saying that right? Vanua coming back from last to win, or Takali being so much ahead and losing?
No, I think going from last to win. I mean, David was so bad at that they managed to come back and win, which must have been great for like David's morale to feel that win when they normally don't. I thought was amazing because I didn't think for a second they were going to win.
Yeah.
Zeeke and Michelle just really worked well, and I think that may come from. I think that comes from them having been together since day one, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I
on the
agree.
same track. Yeah. I don't know who did Figgy do the puzzle with?
She was. It was just Jessica.
No, Figgy was calling to. Was it Jessica?
Adam.
I don't remember.
I think it was Jessica.
I felt bad for her a little because I know she tried, and but sometimes people can't follow direction.
Yeah, and the thing is that I know you're screaming at them, and you get frustrated. You scream a little bit more. That's not always the best way to communicate, and we'll see a little bit more with Michaela later on, because and this is the first of two times that we hear Figgy crying after something happens, and she starts. Which I don't know if she actually cries, but she breaks down. She just really wanted some of those treats, and treats are good and all, but like I said before, and eating all of a sudden after not eating for days and weeks, it can get you sick. You don't always want to get all that food. You don't always want to get all that sugar because it can actually upset your stomach.
I don't like sweets, so I would have hated that reward challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it before. I mean,
talk over
Again, yes, I'm bringing up a previous season. I love using this quote by Ethan. When he and Lex went out to that village, their stomachs were shrinking, when they had when they went to have food there, 30 minutes later they were, spending some time on the toilet.
So, and it happens all the time. It happens all you're not eating, and then all of a sudden you eat so much, and it's gonna mess you up. So what we didn't talk about is at the beginning, and actually after the reward, Zeeke and Chris and Michelle and David, they were talking about what happened at the beginning of the reward challenge, with Figgy just going out there being happy, and seeing Michelle, which for somebody who was so against showing her relationship with Taylor to her new tribe, she did not have any problems in showing that she was happy to see Michelle there. And I think that was one of the reasons that actually helped Adam make his decision at the end.
Yeah, it's a little bit later on. It reminded me of Scout and Twyla when they were swapped. And Scout, "Why are you still happy, Scout?" "Oh, it's just Twyla. I like seeing." Yeah,
it's fine to be happy for somebody, but when it's someone on the opposite tribe, you shouldn't react in a way that people are gonna question your loyalty to them. So and this is where we get Zeke talking about wanting to join the Millennials or just pretty much anyone else that's going to help him out, because he knows that Michelle was working with Figgy and the Triforce. So what else he's going to do? So we talked a little bit about that already. So we get Figgy, who decides that it's time to let everybody know that her and Taylor are together. And we talked about it last week. This is the worst kept secret from anybody, And I love the reaction from both Ken and Jessica, and where they were where they tried to act like they were surprised, but then they're like, "Come on, who you think you're kidding? I mean, it's obvious. Not only do you have Taylor just following you around with puppy eyes, you're always waking up in the morning, spooning or holding hands. What's wrong with you?"
Getting some afternoon delight.
So who had the better reaction, Jessica or Ken?
Oh, Ken.
Yes,
Ken, definitely.
Yeah.
Because I think he may have the advantage over Jessica, kind of, because he's a model, just standing there going, "No way."
Yeah,
and I actually kind of believed him for like a second. I believed him for like 1 second. I thought, no.
I don't know why, but I picked up a different accent from Ken today. Is it me accent? Or yeah? I feel like I heard like a different accent from him today than from the rest of the season. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I was just paying attention a little bit more closely to him than I usually do, but he sounded a little bit different for me. So Fig tells us out in the open, and really she gives that hashtag, putting herself in the front of their relationship name. And as she said in her exit interview, she considers herself Rob and Taylor Amber. So I don't know, that relationship was a little weird for me.
They don't speak anymore.
Yeah, they don't even talk.
They don't even talk.
Taylor did get on Twitter and just said, "I guess everyone should call me Amber from now on." So.
There was something must have happened, because I read an interview with her, and she said she doesn't even want to talk to him, but she didn't express why. But when I read the rest of her interview, I'm like, well, why wasn't this Figgy the one that was playing the game? Because you could have done something. Her answers to the questions were really good, and how she said, yeah, maybe the showmance was wrong, but this was who I was able to trust.
That's the Figgy that I was hoping to see out there, and it was not.
That was the Figgy that I would have liked to see, but that wasn't the Figgy I saw in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I said, she was like, wow, I don't think she'll ever be back. She went out way too soon. And
she said
wasn't-
she'll be back, but I doubt it.
I don't. She didn't
No.
give enough. She didn't give enough. She's not a Michaela.
No.
She's not a Zeke. She's not different. She's not unique. There was nothing special, and I don't mean to sound again mean or unique about her.
I don't think she realizes that right now. Even though in her final words, she kind of expressed that she was kind of playing Taylor, but we didn't really see a whole lot of that.
Yeah, she expressed that. She's like, well, maybe we'll get back together, but not anytime soon or something like that. And and she said that they did get together as soon as the show was over, but that didn't last. And when Gordon Holmes was asking her, like, what happened with you guys? Because it's a transcript, of what they were talking about.
Yep.
He just put silence, and then that Gordon was silence, and then more silence. It was just like awkward silence. They didn't want to talk about it, so. I don't know. Whatever happened there is no longer. They're no longer together. But
Could be a good career move.
so I mean, we'll talk about a little bit more about their relationship at the end, at the tribal. So let's get into the immunity challenge. Let's get into the immunity challenge, and I want to say that this is the first time all season that I was not yelling at David, like,
Me
what the hell are you doing?
He did good, and I was
He
like,
hulked out.
I was like, good for David. I was
Yeah.
so proud of him. Granted, it was harder with the bags, but that beginning of that challenge, he really gave it his all, and he was good. And I'm like, good for David. This is what I want to see him do. And I was happy for him.
Now, do you think this is the beginning of something of his turning around, maybe? Because I feel like production wants to give us a story of him getting better as the season goes on. If we see him a little bit better in challenges, maybe he's going to get to the end. Maybe not win, but maybe he'll get to the end. And I mean, by the end, I mean final 5 or 4, depending if it's a 3 or 2.
I don't think he's a target for anyone right now. He also has an idol. So I definitely think he'll go further. And also, when he makes it to the merge, if he does, one of the good things is he's not going to be a standout threat. So I can see him going to maybe final 5, final 6. If he can continue, he's a little bit better with that social awkwardness. He's definitely has found a comfort zone, which I think is good for him, because that was his biggest flaw. Second biggest flaw was how sucky he was in challenges. But he stepped it up here, and to see that, because to me this was huge for him. And for us to notice it at home, it was amazing.
Yeah. I was like, wow. I was actually surprised more by Ken. I think Ken was just going balls out to where the point where he just fell. I think he was trying to go too fast.
Was that pun intended? Balls out.
No.
Because that's
Did I miss something?
I think the challenge was designed by 12-year-olds or something. Like, you gotta empty these bags, and then you gotta cut them open. Oh God, for 3 balls.
Yeah, this wasn't the best ending, or I guess middle part of a challenge.
I think the Dream Teamers are just doing this to just make us laugh.
So we can get inappropriate Jeff quotes. There hasn't been that many this season, I don't think. At least I haven't been paying attention. But let's get to the point in the mini challenge that I think we want to talk about. Was just Hannah and Michaela. And this is another thing. I was actually last night had a little bit of a Twitter thing, not fight or anything. That was just kind of more of a conversation with somebody who was saying that Michaela is the lovable person.
No.
And I go, I don't know. I see her and I like her, but the way she was talking to Hannah is not the way you want to talk to somebody that is as nervous as she is, because like I said earlier with Figgy yelling, that doesn't always work out. And Michaela was telling Hannah, don't move it so much. You're holding it too still. So
it was mean.
Yeah, and but the thing is that she was telling her opposite things to do, so Hannah didn't know what to do. And with Hannah being so nervous and anxious, that was actually counter. Was it what is it counterintuitive?
Counterproductive.
Yeah, to what they were trying to do. And if she would have just said just looked at her and just said, look at me, we got this, and try to even with her, I think that would have been worked better, not only in getting Hannah to settle down, but also trying to get her get her trust or something, trying to connect with her.
But Michaela's attitude didn't stop there.
No.
Then they win. Then she's helping Jay's team, right? And then Jeff was like, "Oh, so you're helping Jay's team?" I forgot exactly his wording. And they're like, "Well, this team has less millennials than the other one, so why didn't you help the other team?" And she's like, "Well, if they can't get their stuff together, they deserve to lose." And I'm just thinking to myself, your social game is so bad, and if you make it to the end and you're nasty to everybody, how are these people handing you $1 million? I think that her social game is horrendous. She's good TV though, but I don't think she'll win. I think that she'll be back on another Survivor, but I don't think she'll win. I think eventually they're gonna cut her because of her attitude.
Yeah, and I don't know who I was talking to this about as well. Is like I said, I like her. She's good confessionals. She's good TV. Good at challenges. But she's not the most socially aware of how she's coming off to other people.
No.
Yeah.
And she did it to Hannah because she could. If it was me, I would have told Michaela, shut up.
Well, I think even Figgy wouldn't have backed down.
No, Figgy would have told her off too.
Yeah.
She knows who she can pick on a little bit. I think that she's not
Be
friendly.
careful. I don't see good things happening if she joins with David in the same tribe.
Oh,
that's going to be beautiful. I would like to. Oh God, Michaela and David. That's. I can't wait now.
So we get.
Well, I do want to make a note here about Michaela. What did I want to say? Okay, two things. One, correction. She was cheering on for Vanua.
Yeah.
And her getting all and I guess of the two things that she did, you got into the heat of the moment. All right. Maybe later down the line that could be a little bit forgiven, although it does show us some signs of what's going to come down the line. She had no need to tell the other to be cheering on and helping another tribe.
This is another thing with Figgy and Michelle. You don't cross that tribal line. You might like the people over there. You might want them to win, but you don't cross that line because you're gonna make people wonder if you're gonna be faithful to them. And you don't know how long you're going to be broken up to these tribes. They might be there until there's only 13 people left. You might switch next week, and then you might end up being with people that are not going to trust you.
And I love Michaela. Yep, I love Michaela. She might be my favorite out there. She's great TV. I highly, highly doubt it, but if she did win, I would love it. But after that incident and going into the commercial after the immunity challenge, I just thought, I can see how she can get under somebody's skin now. And even before then, but more so now. I didn't know what to think of. It's a part of her character.
I'll be honest, a lot of people with that same attitude would upset me, and I would not like them at all. But Michaela has something where I actually like her as a character. Even with that attitude that she has, most anybody else with that attitude, I would be like, get this person out of here right now.
No, I think that if I was on the tribe she was on and saw what she did at the immunity challenge, she would be on my radar to vote out.
Definitely.
I would not allow a merge with her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. She made it very clear she's still Team Millennial.
Yes.
She made that very clear.
Which is weird because earlier in the episode she said she was gonna keep Jay's secret of the idol, a secret until she said something and then she would betray him. Which that is smart, but at the same time she's noticing she's showing that she doesn't trust the millennial, old millennial tribe. So I mean, I don't know. It kind of contradicts what she's trying to say to me, at least. I don't know if anybody else read that.
Well, in conclusion, I can't wait to see her and David on the merge tribe.
So we get Ikabula winning the big immunity idol, and we get Vanua getting the little one, which they call Junior.
Oh yeah.
And Takali
That's cute.
is the loser. So 2 weeks in a two challenges in a row, Takali loses, and we have Figgy and Taylor. I'm gonna start calling them that now.
Or failure.
Or failure, yes.
Because that's what it was, a failure.
They get to wanting to get Ken out, and they start working on Adam. Now, what was the worst thing for them to do? To try to get them to try to get them to work with Adam. I'm sorry. For them to try to work with Adam to get Ken out, or not even thinking about working against Jessica, because I think Adam might have been more open to getting Jessica out, because Ken is just so much for that tribe.
Oh yeah, because getting rid of Ken, I'm just thinking, why would you want to get rid of him? I mean, yeah, he was a bit slower during that immunity challenge, but the guy's a beast. I mean, if you got to get rid of one of the Gen Xers, I mean, just from that standpoint, I don't want to see any of them go because I like them both. But of the two, with the tribes moving forward, if I were I don't ever imagine myself being with people like Figgy or Taylor. I would stay away from them at all times. But if I were I would be thinking, we got to keep Ken. Because he's muscle.
Yeah.
So maybe
at this point, there's still 15 people in the thing. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's the idea that maybe if they said, "Hey, we're going to get rid of Jessica," maybe he would have said, "Okay."
Yeah, and then Ken goes up and talks to him and gives him a perfect speech on why he should turn on them.
I just think that Taylor and Figgy are just horrible out there. They have no game, so they weren't getting Adam to turn on anybody, and he had to break up the showmance. He would have been an idiot not to. Get rid of it now.
The showman is on everybody's radar, so I mean, it was only logical, and even though this is early, but people are gonna see him as somebody who's willing to make that move, and I think this might end up as a positive for him.
I think so. I think so too. I definitely want to get to Adam's decision and how it should and will benefit Taylor.
Yeah, because I feel that once Figgy's out, and now she is, he's gonna get his head in the game, and I think we said it a couple weeks ago that once Figgy is out, Taylor was gonna go into player mode finally, and stop trying to be in a relationship because. He
needs to get over his anger at Adam and realize you were here to win $1 million, not find a girlfriend.
The thing
go on The Bachelor.
The thing is, talking about tribal council, when Taylor tells, pretty much telling Adam, if he betrays them, all the Millennial tribe going to go against him. Guess what? Adam's already on the bottom of that group. So why would he want to stay with them?
I just had an interesting thought about Taylor. I was hearing he should go on The Bachelor. I think the VH1 or MTV dating shows would be better for him.
Probably. I don't know those names though.
Are you the
Yeah,
one?
I can just sort of see him
Are
now
you
with
the
Figgy going. With Figgy gone, he's almost like after what Khan in Wrath of Khan, what his quote unquote, I think it was an adopted. He wasn't his son. After one of his quote unquote son died, you get that great quote from the late great Ricardo Montalban. I shall avenge you. You know, that's sort of Taylor now, and I think that's sort of what he did in the previews. He sort of said,
like he was out for Adam's blood, but
Even in
I
the
think
Spanish
that
accent.
they'll work it out. I think that Adam is going to say, "Listen, you're here for $1 million, so you need to just chill." And I did the right thing for us.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that at this point, if they lost again, I don't think he's going to vote out Taylor.
No.
No.
I think Adam is smart enough to try to pull back Taylor, and
Yes.
if Taylor is able to let his anger go to the side, he's gonna be able to talk to him, and he's gonna be able to try to work something out. And I think Adam is smart enough to do something like that.
And I wanted to mention something that annoyed the garbage out of me at Tribal. And that's when Jeff offered to marry Figgy and
Bless
Taylor because it's what millennials do. I can assure you, I'm not a
Oh
millennial,
my
but
god!
most millennials I know don't want to even get married or have children.
Millennials,
They don't.
There's a show about that. It's called 16 and Pregnant.
They just don't want it. I don't know millennials who are getting married young. A lot of people are getting married much older now. Not at 23. This is in 1955.
Yeah, I was gonna say that we're gonna get to the cringeworthy moment of the week
yeah,
because
I have
every
some
week it
notes.
happens. It happens every week, and once again, it's because of the theme. And I don't think the whole part, the front part of it, where he says, "I'm an ordained minister. Let's get out. I can marry you guys right now." I think he would have done that to any couple that he sees there, because I think I do think he actually does like couples getting together. And actually falling in love on the show, but it's the whole little thing where he had to try to tie it in to the season. It's the millennial thing to do. Just do it. And I know it's not. I mean, I can see why somebody would say it's millennial, because they just want to just spontaneously do something. But as far as I know, I think the age of marriage is starting to go up.
Yeah.
Not down.
I don't know. A couple of my, I don't know if I think it's interesting. You're saying it's going up. I mean, oh god, Jeff is going to love our discussion here. But the thing with me is that I'm noticing more of my Facebook friends are getting engaged and whatnot, but it's more so the people that I went to college with. But then again, I went to a Catholic college, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But
it's not something that they're just, I met you 2 weeks ago and let's get married. That's
like,
kind of that's what Jeff was trying to point to, that
that's
a millennial thing to do.
Vegas.
Yeah.
And that's more like you go to Vegas and you have too much to drink or whatever.
Yeah.
And he is and I knew that he was an ordained minister because he did remarry his parents. For their anniversary a couple years ago.
I knew he was ordained, but I don't know why I know that. I kind of just knew that.
And I just don't like that he mentioned it because, I mean, some people thought it was funny, and maybe it was. Maybe on a rewatch it will be. But the thing that made me cringe about it was that Jeff needed to remind us that he really, really misses his talk show.
Yeah.
It wasn't as cringeworthy as texting you and going into why vinyl's better or whatever. It wasn't as cringeworthy as that. I mean, because what he was mentioning was that it was actually relevant to what they were talking about, where the whole texting you just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stretching and trying to get the whole thing to work every single week. And that's what I've been saying is what I don't like. I don't want to have him to try to bring that theme into play every week. Just let it go, be natural. So let's take a quick vote here. Good or bad that Figgy went?
Good.
Good.
I don't know how to say this. I'll just say it in Emperor Palpatine. Good. Yes.
So I on Twitter, and there's actually still 39 minutes left in the poll, so it might make it a little bit more. But we got 47 votes, and I gave them the options of yes, it was a good idea, hell yes, no, and WTF. Yes got 38% of the vote. Hell yes got 55% of the vote. No got 6% of the vote, and WTF got 0. So I'm from what I'm seeing, everybody was glad to see Figgy go, except for one person probably.
I mean, they made for great TV, but I was getting a little bit tired of them. Maybe on a rewatch when I'm in a better mood, I'll think, wow, I wish they had more moments.
So let's. I wanted to ask you guys two things before we jump off here. One of the things we do every week, or except for last week, but any changes on your thoughts on any of these players, good or bad? We'll go with Kim first.
I'm trying to think. I'm liking David a little bit more than I had been. I think I like that he's, bringing up his social game, which is good. He did a little bit better in the immunity challenge. Trying to think who else they focused on. Let me think. Michaela, she's only good TV. I like her. I just don't like her as a player. If that makes any sense, I would vote her out immediately if I lost a challenge, based on the fact that her personality just sucks, even though I like her. So I'm kind of going away from her as a player, but love her for TV. Mm-hmm. And they only really focused on Michaela. Am I missing something?
No.
I can't think of anyone. What am I missing?
Well, a good chunk of the Kabula tribe has not gotten a confessional.
I like
purposely put them in that tribe. Just okay, you take those buffs. Okay, why are we getting these green buffs? Because we don't want you in the show.
I like Jay's confessional though. Jay's confessional, I liked that he was raised without, I think, a father, and that he's here to help his family. I really like to see that. So Jay's confessional.
Jay was like, people think that millennials would just think for themselves, think about themselves and stuff like that, because that's not the case. And he's doing it for his mother. So
yes.
Then this is what I was talking about. This is that moment where people are like, well, maybe he's going pretty far or going to the end. But a lot of millennials are getting the same type of confessional once a week almost. So I don't know what they're trying to set up here.
This is a really weird cast because it's most of them. I mean, two of them are prone to anxiety. Some of them. We have two very religious people, Sunday and Michelle, who's a missionary, and then you got a couple people who I guess are sort of right-winged or who we will probably never get to hear from.
Probably because he said he loves Ronald Reagan.
He said that's exactly what I was going to bring up. His two inspiration lives are Ronald Reagan and Jesus Christ.
That's why nobody cares. He's never going to be on the show. He's probably really, really boring. Yeah, and that's why we don't ever see him. We only saw him because Jay found an idol. If Jay didn't find the idol, Will wouldn't even have been on the show yesterday.
No.
So
Will was picking up on that. What, me? Okay. Okay. Let's go tribe by tribe here. Okay, Vanilla. Still rooting for David. You go, girl. Zeke, I like Chris. Chris, he sort of made like a weird. I guess he was really chipper during that reward challenge, and he was making some sort of weird faces during. And like, I guess he was enjoying himself there. Takali, not too much of improvements. I think of the same of everybody. I like everybody except Taylor. Ikabula, crickets. Well, with Jay, I said this last week. I think that I think it's. We were saying it's with Taylor to some extent that splitting these people apart makes them a little better. Mm-hmm. And with Jay being away from Taylor, I'm appreciating Taylor a little. I'm appreciating Jay a little more. And I think it's better for him to not, hang out with, I think I said something like that. Between the two, Taylor seems more like the airhead, and Jay seems he's got a couple brains in him. As to anybody else in Ikapula, Hannah, again, you go, girl. Going out there, anxiety, even though you were sitting out of the challenge, but.
Okay, I'm impressed by both David and Hannah this episode. Just David, he just completely hulked out in that immunity challenge. I can't get over it. And then Hannah, even though Michaela was just completely just screaming her head off, and she just kept her cool and she didn't let her own anxiety just kind of get in the way, and she was calm, cool, and collected through that immunity challenge. And I thought that was something to commend her for. I think that's a good quality for her going forward. And then somebody that didn't really like, who is Will? So yeah, that's all I gotta say. Who is he? Who is he?
I miss producer.
We now have producer.
I like how you mentioned that. Who stayed cool, calm, and collected?
Hannah.
Hannah. Oh, she used She obviously watched Worlds Apart before she left. So probably gave her the DVD.
So what I wanted to say about this cast is that of the people who are left, I don't dislike any of them. There's one that I dislike the most is Taylor, but I don't hate him. People that I didn't like are already out of the game already. And the people that I don't have really a feeling for is because we haven't really seen them. We haven't really seen Will. At the beginning in the first episode, I kind of like Brett, but she's kind of fallen off the radar. Sunday's fallen off the radar, kind of. We haven't really seen much of her, but I don't dislike anyone that's left, and that's weird for me because I usually dislike at least one person in the cast, and normally it would have been Michaela, but I actually like Michaela, so I'm not. Everyone's going up for me in as far as points in my book. So we are.
I think I want to mention one thing about the cast that I've been sharing with a couple of you that I read on Inside Survivor. Don't worry. It's not anything that's going to be a spoiler or anything. I was reading while Karong was still airing to see what they were doing for season 33. There was going to be a newbie season, yes. All right, and then one of the details that they left there was that they were having a hard time casting females. How many females have gone so far this?
Yeah.
I mean, I am all for a woman. Even more so. There used to be a time, right after Amber won, there were more women winners than male winners. But now, if you look at all 31 people who have won Survivor, almost a good chunk of them are guys. So I am all for a woman winning Survivor nowadays.
I'm for a woman too, but she has to be deserving. And I know there's some people always say, "Oh, if you get to the end, There's no such thing as deserving, but for me there is. But
this gonna
I'd
be
like
our
to
one?
see a strong woman win Survivor.
Is this going to be our segue to Australian Survivor?
Well, we're gonna get to the Sonic Survivor. We're gonna end this portion
That
of the
can be our
show,
bonus episode.
and we'll go into it like a bonus episode for Sonic Survivor. But before we close this off, I'm gonna ask for two 1-word answers, okay, from everybody. And Kim kind of already
Sure.
answered this on her
Inside
part.
the actor studio.
Who do y'all think is gonna make it to next season? From the people we have, Kim already said Michaela during the, or I don't know if you said it for next season, but you said that Michaela might come back later on.
I think Michaela Zeke.
Aaron? Sorry.
If they don't win Michaela and Zeke from Millennials, Gen X,
I don't see anybody from Gen X come back.
nobody.
Aaron?
Well, we know it's a man and a woman.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah, given that there's not a lot of women, Michaela, definitely. Zeke, as far as the Gen Xers go, could be Ken or even David.
I thought that maybe. It depends how far they get.
Depends on how they go.
But I would lean more towards Zeke probably.
Mark?
Zeke and Michaela.
I'm gonna go on a limb and say Ken and Michaela.
Okay, so the very first episode we had for the season, I had said it was going to be Zeke. I didn't think he was going to win, but that he would come back. I think it's going to be Michaela for the women. I don't think there's any doubt it's going to be Michaela for the women.
Oh, yeah.
The only other person other than Zeke that I can see coming back for them as far as the men go is David, if he's able to make moves and actually take out some of the bigger people.
Agree.
If
Agreed.
he does that, then he's the one coming back.
Well, we did that big move with keeping Jessica in, which
Yeah, I think he'll have to do a little bit more than that, just that move though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna end it there for this portion. And if you want to hear us talk about Australian Survivor, we're not gonna go. It's not gonna be a long show. We're just gonna go and just our thoughts on what happened there. Okay.